Today's spotlight is on entrepreneur and author Nick Williams. Nick, welcome to the show. We appreciate you.
Welcome, Nick.
Hey,
Welcome,
what's up, everybody?
welcome.
Thank
Welcome,
you. I'm
welcome.
humbled.
All right, Nick, you're an educator, author, entrepreneur, mentor, publisher, and chef. You have quite an
Yes.
amazing resume. But what people really want to know about you is something they can't find about you just anywhere. So, what's at least one thing people cannot Google about you?
So when I was 5, I actually wanted to. My favorite TV station was Nickelodeon. My namesake, of course. I'm still waiting for the paycheck. And I wanted to. I really wanted to be a cartoonist for Nickelodeon.
Oh, nice.
So I remember one time my family went to Disney World. Or sorry, Universal Studios, and there was the Double Dare TV show that was there.
I remember that.
So I got
Yep,
Oh,
I remember Double Dare.
oh.
Yeah, Double Dare.
One of my
And I got
favorites.
picked out of the crowd. I think I was about 6, 5 or 6
Oh,
years
you were
old.
on you were on the show Double Dare.
I was
What?
I was on the show. So I go up
Oh,
and I'm excited and I still have the picture and they send me to the back to get changed because I was about to get slimed and everything. And all of a sudden the nerves just overwhelmed and I started crying and I said, I don't
Oh,
want to do this.
Oh man.
aw.
It's like, for
man.
like but see, it was like for 6 years. Oh, I can't wait to get slimed. I can't wait. That's gonna be so cool. And I had the one opportunity, and 6-year-old me said, "Nope, not
You're
today."
6 years old. You're 6 years old.
Well, I had hair when I had hair.
Aw,
Oh, you and me both,
aw.
brother. You and me both.
So what happened? So did you like recover from your little breakdown, or did what happened? Were
I
you able to
eventually
be
did.
on?
No, no. See,
No.
back
Okay.
then I was a bit more shy than most people really realize.
Aw.
When I tell people, "Oh yeah, I was really shy when I was a kid," they're like, "There's no way. You talk way too much to be shy." But really, I just, I didn't have a lot of confidence growing up. But as I grew and developed confidence in myself, had the right people around me that sewed and poured into me, that brought out a lot of the things that I never knew were inside of me. So that's what really birthed
Mm,
all of these passions, all of these pursuits, the dreams. Cooking was one of those pieces that started it all.
yeah.
Because I wanted to be a cartoonist, but for some reason I lost the knack for drawing and then
Hmm,
it transformed itself into cooking.
wow.
Literally wanted to make eggs one Sunday, and my parents normally wouldn't let me use the stove, but I caught them at a good time and asked the question. I said, "Hey, can I make myself some breakfast? Because I'm hungry." And my mom said,
Mhm.
"Yeah." So around this time, I'm about 10 years old, 11 years old. Go downstairs. I remember everything they did. I started making scrambled eggs, milk, a hot pan, butter, and it's like Eddie's $1 Million Cook Off. I'm entranced, and that's where the culinary business began.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome. So you I
yeah,
was so in looking at just a brief review of your bio, you're assistant director of student engagement at VCU, School of Business. You
yep,
own and
that's
run
correct.
4 businesses: Culinary
I do.
Creations, Black
Hmm.
Kings Connect, Williams
Yep,
Experience Designs, Legacy Leaf Publishing, and on top of that, you're completing your doctorate in education leadership. I'm
I
seriously
am.
struggling with 1.5 businesses and a job. So I need to know where in the world are you finding all this time? That is amazing.
Well, I don't have any kids right now, so that 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 is a plus.
Well, yeah,
That's my secret sauce. Don't
that's
tell anybody.
that's the
But
key. I'm single, no children, no husband, and I have 50,000 jobs. So I feel you, brother. I feel you.
yeah, and I think it's just I'm like I'm all about maximizing the time that I have in each season. And so in the season that I'm currently in, being single, having no kids, no other responsibilities, but just focusing on I'm 29.
Hmm,
I want to build wealth for my family, but also create spaces for other people to do the same. And so
nice.
in everything that I do, I'm bringing on different people in different capacities. Also, again, if I'm gonna fix a plate for myself, there's plenty on the stove for everybody else to grab their plate and eat too.
Mm,
And I think that's what it's all about.
That's awesome. Alright,
Yeah.
so Lizzie, did you have a question for Nick?
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm the complete opposite of you in terms of the shyness, right? There's nothing about me that's shy ever.
Mhm.
But a lot of people, when they meet me, sometimes they assume that I'm shy because I'm hesitant. And I
Interesting.
like when I first started, at my first professional job, Sports Illustrated, a lot of my colleagues were like, "Oh my God, like we thought you were shy." I'm like, "No, I just did not want to talk to you." So that's what I give out a
Yeah,
lot of
that sounds
times.
like
Like
Lizzie. That sounds like the Lizzie.
there's nothing about me that's shy, but it takes me a minute. I like to size you up very quickly before I engage, and then once you get to know me, you can't really shut me up. So yeah, complete opposite, complete opposite. So you, in terms of your businesses,
Mhm.
right? So you're a chef, entrepreneur. I want to talk to you about the education, um, writing portion because I'm an English professor. I'm also a journalist. I've been trying to get this book off the ground for like over 2 decades now. So how did you get your writing business off the ground?
Hmm.
So really, that's actually the most recent one. And I
Mm.
remember, so when I went to UVA, I went to UVA undergrad and grad, and in my
Okay.
undergraduate studies, I was actually an English major. So yes, go English
Hey,
majors.
yes, yes, yes,
uh,
yes.
Now I didn't do it for what most people do it for. Like, most people do it for, oh, I love to read, so I want to do an English major. No, I was more of the spoken word, poetry. I wanted to
Okay,
do that, but
alright,
I literally missed the
alright.
deadline to apply for the special creative program. But when I was trying to declare the major, I took one class in the summer that was for publishing.
Mm,
And our big
Mm,
project was to self publish something. So I said, okay,
nice.
bet.
I
This
love
is an opportunity to learn how to do it. And it's literally became one of my favorite classes because I did self publish a poetry book via Lulu, lulu.com. And
Mhm.
I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I think most people who dive into the English major tend to be and who do writing. And I remember pulling it off the shelf because I noticed like a whole lot of typos that I should have checked. But just
Yeah,
going through the
Robin,
process,
Theo can tell you that. I'm a perfectionist, so yeah, I get it.
so like going through the process and really developing myself over the years as an entrepreneur, I realized the power of not just the spoken word, but the written word and the ways that you can develop wealth from writing
Mm,
literature, writing books that can impact people, the way that you can literally make yourself live forever through
mm,
the words that
Hmm.
you
true.
say, the words you put on
Very true.
paper, and leaving a
that's a
legacy.
good way to
And
put it.
so that's really what birthed Legacy Leaf because I was actually in the middle of working on a cookbook that I've been working on for years. And I kept going back and forth. I could go through a publishing company and then they can take care of all of the legwork while I just focus on being pretty. Or I can start up my own, or I could start my own publishing company and just really see how it goes. And so that was the most recent company that I started because I said I might as well start the LLC and just see where it goes. And I think that's what I've just gotten accustomed to
Mhm.
failing
Mhm.
forward because I really don't know where this publishing company is going to go. I'm not really in the business yet of helping other people publish yet. But getting the foundation there is really, really important because I also want to be able to tell my future kids, stories of. I remember when I when I started this company, and these are things that worked. These are things that didn't work. These are lessons I learned, and now you can see where it is right now. You can see the
Right.
fruit of it.
Give them options. Let them know,
It
right?
gives me
Let them know
options.
that there are options. Exactly. Just one quick question for clarification. So when you say spoken word, um,
Mhm.
do you do performance spoken word, or is it all just for the print version? Like, are you doing
A
poetry
mix,
slam?
a mix of both. I haven't done an
Oh,
actual
nice.
Oh,
slam
good.
Nice.
and since I left Charlottesville, I actually just found out that there's a couple of locations in Richmond that I'm looking at jumping back into. But yeah, so I did like a lot of live performance in high school. Me and
Nice.
a few friends actually had a spoken word group. So like when we would go on music and band trips, we would perform. I remember I had gotten introduced to Saul Williams, hands down one of my favorite spoken word artists. It was a good show on HBO, Def Jam Poetry,
Mhm. Yep.
Yep.
and
Yep. Used to
that
watch
Yep.
that all the
I
time.
watched that like
Yep.
it was literally one of my favorite shows to watch. I had a good a high school friend of mine, Alicia Harris, who performed on there, amongst many others. So yeah, poetry has always been. I guess poetry was really one of the ways that I was able to get out of my shell a bit. It gave
Nice.
me a
Okay.
space to put all the scars of all the things that I was battling when it came to my mental health, when it came to my
Mm-hmm.
self-worth, body image, all on paper,
Mm-hmm.
and put it into
Right.
this beautiful prose that people are like, oh wow, this is so beautiful. But when you hear the
Mm-hmm.
metaphor or the personification, it hits your soul and you're like, wow, I can relate to that.
Wow.
So
Nice. That's
Hey, Mike.
great.
That's
That's great.
that was beautiful, man. And that was an excellent question. I have a silly question, but it's not really silly. I like food. What is
He
your
hungry.
signature
He hungry.
dish? Because I'm looking at your Instagram. I'm looking at all this wonderful looking food. What is your signature dish? And how
That's a good question.
and has cooking like I can't I don't have an instinct for cooking, but I like cooking. I'm a recipe guy, you know what I mean? But I like the idea of cooking for my family and the satisfaction that it gives me. How has cooking affected your life to the point where you are like a bona fide chef? Signature dish though.
So to get started with the signature dish, because that's the question I get all the time. It's hard, but I would say the first dish that like people really got to know me for was my key lime pie.
Oh
So
Literally,
you're a
man.
baker.
if you
Oh,
talk to
all right.
if you talk to anybody from my high school at St. Stephen's and St. Agnes School in Alexandria, Virginia, they know me for that. In college, they know me like that. That's like one of the things that everybody asks for. So key lime pie
My
is one of my
wife
signatures. But
Nice.
I'm a Southern boy, so
My wife is from
you
Florida,
need a
man. My wife is from Florida, and she just all of a sudden, I think I heard her just scream. Somebody said key lime pie.
yeah, key lime pie was like is like literally my signature dish. I've refined that recipe since I was about 14. Because I'm always about like you never reach the final destination. You're always refining and improving. And so that's been like one of the best dishes I've made.
So you
But I'm
prefer
a Southern
baking
boy.
or cooking?
I prefer cooking, but I
Okay.
can bake if need be.
Okay.
I try to cut back on the sugar, but don't be you put me into
I,
a competition and you need me to bake.
yeah, I
I'll
prefer
throw
baking
down.
personally, but I feel you on the sugar part though. It's hard to be a
But I
baker
think that's
and
I
addicted to
think
sugar at
that's
the
a
same
lot.
time.
I think that's a characteristic of a lot of Southern cookers, right? Southern mothers. My mom is from Florence, South Carolina, and they cook their
Mm,
asses off.
yeah.
However, they also baked. They also baked a lot. And I cook. I cook. I don't really bake that much because I'm from DC. I don't consider myself from the South. But my mom and her
Oh,
sisters.
202?
I mean,
202. Did you
oh
say
yeah,
202?
born and raised DC girl. But it's a specific touch, a specific hand for each. And
Mhm.
so to be able to do both, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it's because I grew up around food. Like for my family, no matter how much drama we had in the year or between each other, food was always like if I were to say the picture of the movie Soul Food, that was my family. Like food always brought us together. My grandmothers, they love to cook. Like my grandmother in Georgia, she loves making red velvet cake. My grandmother in
Mm.
Kentucky, in Radcliffe, Kentucky, she makes, I mean, everything. Like literally, my siblings, we fight over the pans of mac and cheese. In fact, there was one time my grandmother had
Listen,
made a sweet
listen,
potato pie.
listen, listen. The mac and cheese war is real, y'all. The mac and cheese war is real,
Yeah, it
y'all.
is. It is.
Yes, yeah, it's do or die, and
You
so
gotta
that's
have some
why
good
like
mac
now
and cheese.
my grandmother has allowed me to be her sous chef. It's been an
Oh,
honor. So
nice.
like we went up to celebrate my grandparents' 60th wedding anniversary this past summer, and I said, Mimi,
Okay.
you just sit down and rest. Let me make. So I made some gumbo. She hadn't seen a Cajun style gumbo before. She normally puts like tomatoes in hers. I don't. I do more of like you know
Yeah.
so she watched me through the process, and I made some peach cobbler and everything like that. And just being able to
Ooh,
let her
y'all know
rest,
I
I think
haven't
that's
eaten
really
yet
cool.
today. Y'all know I haven't eaten yet today. So I'm getting hungry. I'm
All right,
getting hungry.
we got a couple of comments online. We say Mike Wolf says, "Isn't baking a subset of cooking?" I
It
mean,
it is. It's
technically,
it's
yes, but
it's more
I
of an
think it's a
exact science comparatively.
yes,
Like once you
yes,
right,
put something into the
exactly,
oven,
yes.
you really can't go backwards. Whereas with cooking, you
yep,
can easily adjust as you go along. If you make
Yep.
something too spicy, add something, add some like lemon juice to help
Mhm.
neutralize that
Yep.
that Scoville level.
Yeah.
Also, note to self: never do the hot ones challenge, and not and
what I don't know what
don't
that
drink
is.
an
What's
energy
that?
drink or have you ever, it's a YouTube hit show where basically the host brings on celebrities and basically they're eating growing series of hot wings. Like the
Oh
hot sauce
well,
gets
Hotter and
well,
hotter.
excessively
well.
spiced hotter, and they're
They
asking like
deserve
just
that.
questions about them. It's hilarious. I highly recommend. Tom Holland's interview is probably one of the best I've ever seen.
So you recommend watching, not participating, is what you're saying?
I mean, you could try it. I believe they actually have wings out there, like a whole series in the grocery stores. Me and my friends did it during the Super Bowl halftime show.
Don't do that,
Like
huh?
There's a
2 weeks
there's
ago,
a
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. I've also chugged a bottle of hot sauce, but that's a whole nother story. Back in college.
All right. Let me get there's one more comment online. Latoya Blakely says, I love red velvet. It's my favorite cake. And
Me
she
too.
also said that's a place of honor. Grandmas don't play in the kitchen.
They
Robbie,
No,
don't.
no, not
They don't.
Yeah. So, Nick, I
it's
have to
not.
say, I really appreciate your quest for knowledge in life and your desire to share wealth and opportunity in your community. I think those are very, very admirable traits. And I'm just curious who some of your heroes and influences were growing up.
good question.
So I would say I love studying people and trying to understand why they do what they do. I think my first imprint was definitely my dad. He's definitely had a big impact of teaching me just valuable life lessons. I'm a little hard headed. I'm a Taurus,
Oh, I'm a
but
Taurus
so it
too.
took me a
Metal
while.
Taurus. Yes.
so uh,
Best.
so it took me a
Horrible
while to
people.
understand the things he was pouring in. I remember there's one thing he's always taught me. You can either fly with buzzards or soar with eagles. And that's the one I've always understood because you assimilate who you associate. So I've always been meticulous about who I let into my inner circle and who's in my outer circle because that can influence how you think, that can influence what you have, that can influence what you pursue. And so I'm very, very meticulous about that. So my dad is definitely the first. I would say I studied Jay Z. I don't think people really realize what he's been doing. He's really playing a game of chess, and I'm a very analytical, methodical thinker. I will try to think 4 or 5 moves ahead of what could happen. What are the different things I could put into place? Because I really think it's not about having a perfect plan. It's always about just setting a plan, putting it into motion, but being willing to be flexible with the process as you go through because you can't control everything, but
Right.
your long-term destination. And so those are two people definitely I've followed. My faith is something really important to me. So along the way, as I'm pursuing, I've studied Jesus because that's allowed me to understand the humanity of people,
Mm.
how to love people through everything, good and bad, how to see the truth of people's pain, and just being present. Not there to fix what they're going through, but to be present in their process that they need to go through.
So we're
So
celebrating Black History Month, Black Achievement, and of course, you've achieved a lot in a very short period of time. I didn't realize you were 29 years old. But what has it been
A
like
baby.
navigating all of that achievement as a black man in America? What is it like for you? Are you finding obstacles? Is it you find it easier than you expected? What are you finding?
I think the one thing I've battled, and I still have my moments, is self worth. Um, when I was in elementary school, I was bullied
Okay.
for my
Oh,
body
I'm
weight,
sorry.
body image, and everything like that. And very much so, that's what led to me being more recluse and really in my shell. But it really took some really good friends of mine, Alex Edwards, Nick Mojo, Gonza Maea. They really became like brothers to me, and they helped me begin to get out of my shell.
Okay.
And so again, this is why the association piece is so important because that's what's helped me slowly become who I am. Is taking the pain that I've been through and battling my self worth and learning to love myself because I've come to realize you can't really authentically love somebody if you don't authentically love yourself. As
Absolutely.
in,
100.
100%
the
agree.
more you pour into yourself, the love you give other people should be the excess of what you give yourself. So, right now in the season I'm in, even though I'm pursuing a lot, I'm really focused on the self care and also the affirmations because that is actually my love language. And I have to give myself the things that I need so that I can show people how to love me. I can show people how I love myself. So,
Yeah. Thank
I agree with that
We
because
love
I
that.
think that's a
That's
very
deep.
poignant statement. I always tell people, people ask all the time, have you ever been in love? Who was your first love? And I often say, honestly, I haven't been because when I was in a relationship with that person, I wasn't loving myself.
Yep.
I was a mess. Like, yeah, we may have said I love you, but I didn't love myself. So how could I love him?
Mhm.
And he certainly
mm,
wasn't showing me that he loved me too. So yeah, it's a very you have to get into who you are first before
Yeah.
you get
yes,
into somebody else.
Yeah.
So I agree with you
yes.
100% on that.
And just
Mm.
to be clear, this isn't that Trump loving yourself, that arrogance. This is truly
No,
loving who you are,
You
who
just
you
yes.
are,
had
what
to
you're about,
you just
you know,
had to bring them
all
up.
I'm just
Why
saying.
you gotta
I,
bring
I
them
think
up?
I think people
Why?
I think people
Hello.
I think people confuse sometimes, loving
Yeah.
yourself as a sense of like, arrogance, but it's not. It's really truly
Mhm.
No.
knowing who you
No.
are and
No.
Bingo,
who loving that piece about you.
And
What
a
were you gonna
lot
say?
of
bingo. And
times
and I
it takes a while for people to love
It
themselves.
does. It's not
And
an easy
yes.
thing
so
all the time. It seems easy, but
sometimes
it's
when
not.
you see sometimes when you see people, hyping themselves up or what have you, it's because they're overcompensating for the years that
Mm,
they didn't love themselves. They're just
Yeah,
bingo.
finding themselves. They're just like, I'm here. I'm here. So yeah, I 100% agree.
absolutely.
100%.
Okay, we're running out of time. So Latoya Blakely says exactly, flexibility is the key. You can control the plan you make, but you can't bend the world around it. You have to be able to
Ooh,
adjust as you go. Being too stubborn always costs in the long run. Paulette Bertrand says, so true. And Mike Wolf says, learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. All right, so
Okay, let's not get into that song
yeah,
because you're
no,
gonna make me cry.
me too.
Let's not get into
I don't
that
know how many
song.
times that song has made me cry. I ain't even gonna lie. But we're out of
So
time.
very quickly,
Go
so
ahead.
very quickly, Neil, I wanna ask Nick this.
Okay.
So we have a very eclectic panel here, right? Neo, actually the three of us, Neo, Micah, and myself, we're from the area. Rob is from Canada. What dish would you fix for us? What would
ooh.
you make for us as a group? As a
I
group. And we love to eat.
see.
We love to eat. I
And
don't eat meat though. I don't eat meat though. I'm a pesca.
oh no, oh don't worry, I got you on that. Cause and I guess this is gonna tie to Michael's question of like what cooking means to me. Cooking to me, I always say wherever there's good food and good company, great things always happen. And so food is always a connecting. So I would cook a nice southern spread. Don't worry, I can cook some vegetarian, pescatarian, vegan, mix. I'll probably do like maybe a Cajun style salmon, salmon pasta,
That
just to make
sounds
sure.
good.
I got you.
Remember, I haven't eaten
Um,
yet.
Salmon
Yes.
style pasta.
but but definitely like the beauty of southern cuisine that I've loved is that it really is you feel like you're at Big Mama's house. You feel like you're with
Yes.
family. And I think yes, I think creating that kind of spread will enhance the atmosphere you guys have already created, which is I can tell family.
Yep.
So
I'm sorry. I laughed just because I saw Jose's comment online. She says, "I'm
And
willing
I'm
to
down
travel
with
to be
Joe.
your to be your sampler person."
Yes, Jose. Yes.
Joe and I have
I,
never
I have
had a
I have two
traditional
I have
Southern
two
meal,
friends
but
that
we'll take it.
I mean I have two friends that live next door to me, so they are like my test subjects with like dishes all the time.
Oh man, we got to
Nice.
move. We all have to move. All right.
Yes.
All right. So we are out of time. Now, are there any final thoughts, any shout outs you have for our audience out there, or just tell people where they can find you, find out more information about you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can honestly find me anywhere on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. For my chef Nick, at chef Nick, the letter X experience. So experience without the E, the first E. Or you can find me at BK Connect Podcast, which is my podcast, where we create a space to connect, uplift, and empower, and really showcase that Blackness is not monolithic. And we highlight different experiences of those who identify as Black, African American, on our show. So yeah, definitely reach out. I'm always happy to chat and maybe grab a bite to eat. So
All right. Nick,
Yes,
we
yes.
definitely appreciate you joining us, our show. Thank you so much for joining us,
thank
We
you
love
guys.
it. We love it.
and we will see you soon.
Sounds great.
All right.